All right, so chapter 3 deals with the 6 levels of leadership, and I want to make sure that you do not get the levels of leadership confused with the styles or types of leadership. So just keep that in mind. Describing the 6 levels of leadership, you have the first one, you have the personal level. This really deals with just you and how you view yourself as a leader and all of the aspects that go into you being a leader, and how you are seen as a person or how you are as a person. And your values, communication skills, leadership style, time management, how you respond to barriers, and your view of diversity constitutes who you are as a leader. 2, there's leadership at the team level. Leaders do not work alone. Teams allow you to have more organizational skills through assigning subordinate specific um, tasks and/or roles within an organization. And teams are crucial for creating high quality organizations. But teams do have drawbacks. They have a lack of trust, fear of conflict, lack of accountability, and then you have personal issues that arise, such as individuals of the team not being able to get along with each other, one person feeling more superior to the others, or one team member feeling superior to the leader. And then you have to remember, if you are given the opportunity to be a leader of a project or organization, you were chosen for a reason. If you see that others are in conflict, you will have to address it. And there really is no right way to address these kinds of issues. But make sure you are not yelling, degrading, or being disrespectfully critical um, to anyone or any part um, of the project or party involved with the project. And number 3, leadership at the organizational level. At the organizational level, leaders will have to be consumer and community driven. There will always have to be reform and change because nothing ever stays the same. You will have to face the changes that come along with a great deal of effort. And most of these changes that will and continue to occur are driven by scientific and technological advancements. So you will have to stay up to date with what is the new and now. I think that's especially relevant for today, because we see new technology coming out all the time. Number 4 is the leadership at the community level, and community issues should be addressed. Just because an organization is committed to public health doesn't mean the issues are being served. So be purposeful in what you as a leader are doing to help serve the community. Number 5, leadership at the global level. There are 2 main focuses when discussing leadership at the global level. I don't know why I want to say the wrong word. At the global level, you have national and international sectors. So you have to take into consideration both sectors. Just because a solution works for us here in the United States at the national level doesn't mean that it'll work for another nation or population in another part of the world. This can be due to something as simple as technological advancement, but it could also be due to the nature of governance in that country. There are some countries that do not permit their citizens to have access to what is going on in other countries of the world, especially the United States. I don't know if you know that or not, but some governments they have really hard restrictions on them accessing the United States news, things of that nature. So if you're working abroad, governmental rules have to be followed and considered before a solution can be found. And then number six, leadership at the professional level. Make sure you have a unified voice when it comes to being at the professional level. Currently, we have a system where everyone knows everything. Politicians say things and the words are twisted around to favor one party or another. Um, we have random people who can make a video stating something that is not factual, but for those people who hear it and have no idea as to what's really happening, oftentimes believe it, and the news spreads like wildfire. Social media and media in general is not your friend. So it helps if you listen and pay attention to what is happening and be resounding in what leaders are saying as truth. And it helps if you sit back and take in what is being said. Don't just sit idly by and not correct individuals. If you're a leader in public health and do not, you should not let anyone try to sway your knowledge of what you know is correct and true. So most of you are probably starting to look at all the things you're doing and wondering why some of the assignments don't exactly correlate uh, with lectures. I don't know at this point if you've looked ahead or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But my goal for the outcome for each of you is to learn about leadership, but also understand what all is involved in leadership. So I'll always lecture over each chapter, and of course, you have a weekly reading quiz over what you've read. Um, if you read over the materials, which really isn't much, you should do well on the quizzes. The assignments are extensions to what you also need to learn for leadership and in the form of research or a given assignment. I will probably have extra lectures to cover for some of the assignments, not today, so that you have a basis of understanding for them. For example, you'll have a lecture over accounting and finance in addition to a lecture over the chapter being covered at that time. It's around mid-semester, maybe a little bit more towards the end of the semester. But hopefully the majority of you have taken Principles of Accounting 1 and 2, so that you have a foundational knowledge in that area. But it is important, I believe, for you to understand the financial side of leadership because you may have instances where the financial decisions that are made will affect your decisions as a leader in healthcare. Um, and for most of you, you know that uh, monetary issues are always a big deal in healthcare in our nation. So, I think it's just really important for you to understand that side of it. Um, so for this week, you're going to write a paper over some research on your topic, but it needs to be done from a standpoint of what the current issues are or the most current you can find and how they affect the field of healthcare. There are many aspects of government that affect how the field of healthcare is run. And sometimes the laws and regulations that are passed by those in the government sometimes don't make sense, but they still have to be followed. And I think that's because a lot of people who are in politics don't necessarily know um, a lot about healthcare. They just think they have a great idea and they're going to follow it. Um, if your topic does not have anything that is extremely current, for example, I've had students in the past who are wanting to be coaches or not necessarily go directly into healthcare. So say that you're going into something like coaching. Title IX would be something that isn't talked about a whole lot, and some of the regulations have been in practice for a while. I want you to find what you can as being the most recent and go with that. If you're searching anything on cost or accessibility, those are current issues and should be easier to find. Also, make sure you're paying attention to where an issue is in the process of being passed, either as a bill or a law. And you just need to maneuver around the website that I'll give you to be able to find that. You have plenty of time to do this. You can see whenever you get to that website, you'll be able to see if something has stalled out or it's been in that position for several years. If this is the case, I would say it's probably not a viable source. I would say anything over 3 to 5 years um, is probably not relatable anymore just because of how politicians change in office and how new things may come in place before that one has even been considered. So for this week, you will have a paper and it's supposed to be written in APA style, and there should be a minimum of 3 sources. So I want you to just kind of touch base on what you're going to be looking at. So the leadership um, levels um, don't necessarily go along with the research that you'll have to do, but I think it's good to have an idea of whether or not you're going to be looking at something that is on the personal, the team, organizational, community, or global level, um, or even the professional level. So, with all that being said, you'll have your quiz, your discussion, the questions that are within Top Hat that go along with the slides, and you'll have your paper. And I will also go ahead and say that if you can be really concise and get all that information um, in less than 3 pages, that's fine. But I will go ahead and say that from this point on, um, I have an app that I can use to see if your whole paper is plagiarized or used AI. Not plagiarized really, but if you used AI. I'm not opposed to people using AI, but use it in a smart way. Don't just put something in and then roll out a whole paper and submit it because you didn't do the work. A computer did it for you, and it's not going to be as detailed. If you ever read the papers that come off of an AI source, you'll notice things like things are repeated. There isn't a whole lot of detail. So I would say use it, but don't use it to complete an entire paper. Um, I would read whatever it pulls up and then research some sources and add that into it and make it your own. So don't just rely on that. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll email you back as soon as I can. And I hope you guys have a good week.